The Kindness Rebellion. Messages from the Void. Thank you for listening to this newest episode of Messages from the Void. So for this one, I kind of wanted to go over the fundamentals of the Kindness Rebellion and kind of what led me to start the Kindness Rebellion in the first place. So right off the bat, the premise of the Kindness Rebellion is to reject tyranny and oppression through understanding, love, and kindness. The main reason that I came up with this motif was because I found that massive systemic change is needed. And I don't think that's something new or anything like really hard to understand. I think a lot of us understand the clusterfuck that we're in and why something needs to change, but a lot of people just don't know what. And I think the simple reaction is often through violence, because that is, sort of the only way that we've ever seen real massive change carried out throughout history. We've only seen revolutions and rebellions done through bloodshed. And it's not hard to understand why, because generally these populations that are oppressed and dispossessed, the only reason they even rise up is because it's a reaction to bloodshed. It's a reaction to massive systemic violence. And so I don't think it's necessarily saying that is anything to blame or anything to be surprised of. What the Kindness Rebellion seeks to do is to transcend that. It seeks to transcend that pain, to transcend that reaction to violence with violence, assuming that it's going to create anything different. Because I think that when we create new societies and create new systems on the foundation of bloodshed, on the foundation of preserving the new system by any means necessary, then we create the same conditions that our oppressors have created. So the idea is to create a new train of thought. It's to create a new path forward through understanding, love, and kindness. And this is very reliant on what I see as the three pillars of this Kindness Rebellion. The first pillar is a reconnection with self, a relationship with self built on understanding, love, and kindness. This is done mostly through emotional intelligence. This is about understanding our own reactions, our own internal states, and being able to experience them, analyze them, understand why they're there, and transcend them, instead of acting out of reactive-based emotions or just simply reactions in general. This isn't saying to not react ever or to shame yourself for ever having a reaction. It's about developing emotional intelligence and emotional awareness in order to transcend the emotional reactions, so that we can have a more kind approach to our own self, to how we view ourselves. And then by being able to cultivate that kindness with yourself and an understanding of your own emotional states, then you can move on to the second pillar, which is social intelligence, or a cultivation and reconnection with others. This is also done through, not acting out of reactive emotions and mostly operating in cooperation and coordination. Also must be founded on understanding, love, and kindness. We need to understand where people are coming from in order to try to cooperate with them. If we're only going to believe that our way is the way to go, then we're not willing to even incorporate someone else's viewpoint into our reality tunnel and are therefore limiting our own views. One thing I try to make very, very, very clear is that allowing space for understanding and allowing space for openness does not have to compromise your values. In fact, it will solidify your values. It'll give you the opportunity to adjust those values if necessary. And that's what's going to be fundamental for cooperation. And that's how we can really establish a solidarity for love and for connection. And that's also going to be done through kindness. I believe that by extending kindness to somebody, by extending empathy to somebody, you are opening up the opportunity for cooperation. You are opening up the opportunity for coordination. In our individualistic culture, specifically here in America, it's not actually incentivized to cooperate with anyone. Even within the mutated community structure that we have now, which is a business environment, you are set up to compete with every single person that you work with. We're set to compete with every single person we live next to. It's all about competition, and we are no longer fostering a connection with each other, and we are losing our sense of community, which is an evolutionary trait that we have evolved for and is very necessary for our well-being. We need each other. We need each other. We are interdependent people, and we are interdependent systems on this planet. And that brings me to the third pillar, which is reestablishing a relationship with nature, specifically of the understanding that we are nature and that we must live interdependent with nature in order to build a new society that is sustainable. In order to build a new world that is sustainable, we have trampled nature for our own vices. And I think it comes from a misunderstanding of nature. Once again, it's a misunderstanding. We don't see nature as a part of ourselves. In fact, we see ourselves as separate from nature. I think Western religion, or I suppose just theistic religion in general, had a lot to do with this, seeing that we were placed onto this earth to consume it and for nothing else. But what we need to understand is that we did not come into this world, we came out of this world. We came from this world, we are from this world, and it is our home, it is us, and we need to understand how to live interdependent with it in order to live sustainably. And so these three pillars are needing to be established in order for us to actually develop a new society. And these are not something that it's like a step-by-step basis. It's not like you just achieve levels and once we, get to a point where we're starting to work on sustainable living, then we've done it. We've cracked the code. It's a balance. We need to keep all three of these in balance. We need to maintain our connection with ourselves. We need to maintain our connection with each other, and we need to maintain our connection with the earth in order to live a more valuable life. And I think the most important thing to understand about how I see the Kindness Rebellion is that it's not going to be some utopia that we all of a sudden find ourselves in one day, or that's just automatically perfect. I think it's mostly trying to reorient ourselves so that the problems that we're trying to solve are much more minimal than the ones we're trying to solve now. I think the biggest problem with our current socioeconomic system is that the measures for success is profit and exploitation, selfishness, and greed. And we're destroying ourselves, each other, and the planet in doing so. But if our new measures of success are understanding, love, and kindness, and sustainability, then we're going to be able to build a world that is just like that. We're going to be able to move in the direction that is creating these conditions, because we are currently creating conditions of scarcity and poverty and spiritual death. We are so lonely and so sad. And I think that we can change this. But it's going to require such a fundamental shift. And, the hard thing is I don't always know where to start. A lot of the questions I ask my guests is, Are we supposed to focus on the individual change, or are we supposed to focus on the collective change? Are we supposed to worry about the environment first, or are we supposed to get our own shit together and make sure that we can actually afford to exist? And unfortunately, the answer is that we have to do all of it at the same time somehow. But I think we can do it because as we start to move in the right directions, and as we start to cultivate these types of habits and beliefs and patterns of behavior, we are going to make these systems more efficient. We are going to make more efficient systems for ensuring that everyone has access to food, healthcare, water, shelter, education, because we are going to fundamentally change what it means to get those things to people and what it means to be successful in doing so. It is no longer going to be set on the premise of profit and extraction and exploiting other regions for this process. And I think that we can do it. We have the technology, we have the ability, we have the innovation, we have the ingenuity. We just need the mindset shift. We need the cultural shift. And this is where I kind of answer that earlier question with my guests, whether it needs to be individual change or collective systemic change. And the truth is, we can only have individual responsibility and individual change when we have collective solidarity, when we have a collective understanding of what needs to happen. And as such, the main tenets of the Kindness Rebellion, which is a society founded on the principles of understanding, love, and kindness, these can be the collective solidarity that we hold on to in order to create a better world. And so if you're listening to this and this answers your questions about how I got to this point and what I think we should be doing, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know what questions you have. Let me know if you think there are gaps in this idea, because the only way that it's going to be brought to fruition, the only way it's going to be built is by using it, playing with it, and understanding the concepts so that we can learn from any mistakes and move forward. But I fully believe that by orienting ourselves towards principles of understanding, love, and kindness, we are going to create a better world. And we are going to create social conditions that do not leave people dispossessed and dissatisfied, because the entire premise is to promote well-being and is to promote sustainability. So if we can do this, we can change the world. And it's not up to just one person. It's not about just killing a couple billionaires and then everything's going to be better. It's up to all of us. We all have to make these changes, and it's going to be so difficult, but I know that we can do it together.